Hey guys, welcome to Cape and Cowl Cafe. I'm Nemo, and today I'm going to be giving you guys some comic book recommendations. This is probably going to become some kind of a series, so consider this part one. If you guys enjoy the video at any point today, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button, but let's hop right in. Okay, so I've compiled a list of some books that I've been having a really good time with over the last few months, and I thought I'd share a few of my favorites. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have read some of the books on this list, as most of them are pretty current, but I'm also sure that a lot of you haven't. Not everyone is going to be a big loser like me.
Suffering Steve Ditko! How can you not know that Spider-Man first appeared in 1962's classic Amazing Fantasy number 15?
Hopefully, I can change that. I can fix that. If you've been wanting to get into comic books and you just don't know where to start, this video is for you. And I've got great news. You can start pretty much anywhere. So I'm going to share a few books that I've been having a really good time with, and hopefully we'll find something you enjoy too. Let's get started. Now, I don't want to ruin any of the big twists or endings for these stories, but there will be light spoilers as I will be showing some comic panels and some artwork from the books. Alright, first up on the list we got Batman and Robin Year One by Mark Waid and Chris Samnee. This is just a classic story about the early days of Batman and Robin's partnership. Now, when you think of Batman and Robin, you're thinking of the dynamic duo, the perfect partnership, especially with Dick Grayson. He was always the golden boy, the role model for the other Robins, but not here. This book gives us a charming but unstable dynamic for Batman and Robin. Now, despite the title of the book, Batman and Robin, I was far less interested in the crime-fighting portions of this story, and I was way more interested in Bruce and Dick's dynamic and them growing together as characters. And that's how you know that this is a good story. It gives you characters that you care about. Now, it is really refreshing to go back to the Dick Grayson origin story, because usually with these Robin stories, Robin is trying to measure up to Batman, but in this story, they're both trying to measure up to each other. Robin wants to prove himself as an adequate partner, and he wants to make Batman proud. And Batman, he feels more vulnerable in the story, and he wants to make sure that he's being a good father, even though he's not fully prepared for it. This book just has a lot of father-son moments that just make you feel good, you know? And I love this scene here where Batman is asking Gordon for parental advice. And there's also a fun subplot about CPS checking in on Dick Grayson every once in a while and trying to make sure that Bruce is being a good father. And it's funny because that's something that would happen, just a lot of adaptations don't really show it, you know? But overall, this book is just the perfect retelling of Robin's origin. It has some great characters, some absolutely stunning artwork, and I love how it's just about these two characters learning from each other, and by the end of the story, they're able to change the identity of Batman for the better. I could not recommend this book anymore. Please go read it. Now, not every book on this list is going to be super beginner friendly, but sometimes you just have to get thrown into the chaos and have fun. So the next book on this list is DCKO. Now, this one's an ongoing series, so it's not finished, but it's so good. It's like Injustice if it didn't suck. So the basic premise is that Darkseid has come back, and he is essentially a god now. He has abilities far beyond what he had before, and he threatens to destroy and reshape the universe in his image. Now, the Justice League, they do have a chance to fight back. They can enter a tournament run by something called the Heart of Apocalypse, where they have to fight each other for the right to gain Darkseid's power and reshape the universe in their image. Now, the original plan was for the Justice League to be the only ones to enter the tournament. However, some supervillains have made their way in, and now it's just a super chaotic free-for-all between heroes and villains alike. It's awesome. Now, the really fun thing about this series is that pretty much anything can happen, anyone can die. Like, it doesn't matter what kind of crazy stuff goes on here. We're all under the assumption that things will pretty much go back to normal after the tournament ends. I mean, not really a spoiler, but Batman dies in the first issue, and he spins off into his own little miniseries called Night Fight. That one's also really good. You should check it out. This book isn't very story heavy. There's not a ton of exposition. There's just a lot of action, and it's just pure dumb fun. I mean, this is the comic book version of mashing your action figures together. I mean, if you're new to comic books, this may look like a lot, but this is actually one of the most accessible, huge comic book events we've ever had, so go check it out. Alright, this next one's going to be pretty quick because it's a bit of an older book, but next up we got World War Hulk by Greg Pak and John Romita Jr. This story is just very well-rounded. There's a lot of action, but there's also a lot of introspection with the characters, and a lot of heartbreak. Now, there is a little bit of homework to the story, I guess. Like, you can go read Planet Hulk or go watch the animated movie, but World War Hulk explains the context in the story, and they do plenty of flashbacks, so you don't really need to. But long story short, Marvel's Illuminati deemed Hulk too much of a threat to be on Earth, so they shot him into space. He lands on a planet called Sakaar. He becomes an enslaved gladiator, and then he eventually rises up, defeats the king. He becomes the new ruler of Sakaar, and he marries. His wife becomes pregnant, and then the shuttle that brought him to Sakaar explodes, destroying all of his people, killing his wife. And then this story is about Hulk going back to Earth for revenge. Super simplified summary, I know, but this one's awesome. You get to watch Hulk pretty much fight everybody. So if you're a Hulk fan, or you're just sick of Professor Hulk, this one's for you. Alright, next up we got Ultimate Spider-Man by Jonathan Hickman and Marco Cicchetto. This story is essentially a retelling of Spider-Man's origins with a lot of major changes. He's in his 30s, he's already married, he has kids. It's an entirely new universe, and the story poses the question, what would happen if Peter got his powers later in life? And that's a really interesting premise, and that's what this story explores. Now, one of the best things about this book is you don't really need any other context. If you've never read Spider-Man before, it doesn't matter. You can pick this up and enjoy it. It's entirely its own thing. But the absolute best thing about this book is the artwork. Marco Cicchetto has quickly become my favorite Spider-Man artist. He is just so good. Every panel that this guy creates is a masterpiece, you know? Now, this book is another one of those ongoing series, so it's not finished yet. I'm sure the final issue will come out when this video does. Who knows? But the story's just really good. The ending is feeling a little rushed, but I guess we'll just have to wait until the final issue comes out to know for sure. It doesn't matter if you're new to Spider-Man or if you're a lifelong fan, this book just feels fresh, and it's just a really fun reshuffling of the Spider-Man mythos. Go check it out. Alright, and the last book on the list is Batman Dark Patterns by Dan Watters and Hayden Sherman. This book is a 12-issue miniseries that takes place during Batman's 3rd year as a crime fighter, and it's very reminiscent of The Long Halloween, which actually makes a lot of sense when you realize that you can slot this in right after Long Halloween and Dark Victory. Now, this book structure is very episodic. It features 4 mysteries that all tie together at the end, but each of these mini-stories feels a lot like an episode of BTAS. It's really cool stuff. Now, this is a very detective work-driven story. There's not a ton of action, and it's more about Batman realizing that crime fighting is starting to affect his mind. He's becoming paranoid. The artwork is just absolutely awesome. A lot of people might find it to be a bit unconventional, but I think it's beautiful. It's the right amount of dark and gloomy for Batman, while still having a lot of color. It's a very warm book. There's a lot of warm colors here, a lot of reds and oranges and yellows, and that's going to be very apparent on the issue covers, but it just contrasts against Batman's blue very nicely. This one is definitely my favorite of all the books I've talked about today, so if you're a fan of The Long Halloween, you are going to love this. If you read any of the books on this list, please read this one. It is so good. Alright guys, that's going to be about it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it all, I'd really appreciate if you hit that like and subscribe button, and drop in the comments down below a comic book you'd like to recommend to me. If I have time, I might check it out, and if I enjoy it, I'll recommend it to everyone else. But yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys later.